Hi everyone and welcome back to National League Lowdown with me, Dan. We've got not a full house with us today. We've got a special podcast for you today. Ashvir Singh has been fired or parted ways with Morecambe, whichever way you want to look at it. We weren't sure if it was ever going to happen, but it's happened. So we're here to talk about it. I'm joined by Mark. How are you, mate?
Yeah, aloha everybody. Who saw this day coming? Some might say it's been one day too long, but we're going to dissect it, go through, and we will welcome all Morecambe fans' comments in whatever social media outlet we post on. Obviously, YouTube. Get subscribing, please. It's monumental, maybe, but definitely one to remember for Morecambe fans.
Definitely. I think the general consensus will be happiness at the moment, given what's been going on. Louis, how are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, well, good. Thanks, Dan. It's a weird one. I feel like the world's going to end soon with this decision coming around. Not expected at all, but we're here. We're here to talk about it, and it'll be a very interesting one, I think.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling, isn't it? Because it feels like it's been a long time coming, but also none of us really thought that we're going to do it. So it's such a weird feeling. But
it's bizarre. I mean, all the time that we've spent. I mean, we've mocked it because it's there to be mocked, and yet here we are today going, "Good God, they've done it." When did this come up? When did they show some backbone?
Who knows, honestly. But like I say, you hear the stories of what's been going around on social media. You've got coaches fighting with each other, things like that. You're hearing all this stuff. It's not a sign of a happy house, is it? So it had to happen. It's obviously happened. Mark, obviously, what's your initial thoughts?
Well, it could have come rather on at a better time for them because of what is going on. I mean, earlier on in the week, the alleged fights going on between the coaches. We'll say alleged. There's not been too much put into that. But when Tyrese Sinclair was set to join them and he opted for Hartlepool instead and basically said, I really don't like the way this club's being run. I mean, it's been a dog and pony show all season. I know there's the whole, yes, but we've got a club to support. But you look six months further on down the line, and there's people say the fans were saying, "I wish we'd have gone bankrupt." That's how poorly it has been run. Decisions have been made that even the worst football owners wouldn't have made when they were there. But it had to happen. I mean, for me, it's about 3 months too late. And whoever's going to come in has got a proper battle on their hands because he's got to win over the supporters first and foremost. That's the most important thing. He's got to win over the players, but he can sort them out as and when. I mean, they're pretty much expendable as Morecambe have found out because they brought so many in and then shipped so many out. So that's the expendable part about it. What worries me is the inexperience of the board going to cost them when they eventually do go and get a successor to old Ashvir? Because people wouldn't have been ignoring what they've been doing, and they will look at this and think, do I really want to go here? I mean, we can deflect back to the Sinclair comments, and when he said there's something really not right about that club, well, what is it? Is everybody going to go in there and see what it is? You know, if he felt that the need to move to Hartlepool was far greater, then maybe somebody on the board has to go as well. You know, this just can't be down to one person. Maybe they need a CEO. A proper CEO or a director of football, but it's come like, you know, they've come to the party with the gift all wrapped after everybody's gone home, but here it is, and now it's going to be who will dare to take on the mantle of such and I won't mince my words here, it's such a basket case of a club.
No, I agree. Louis, what's your initial thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's just such a weird feeling because you kind of on paper look at it and they've won one game out of 9 in the league, and you think, yeah, any other club would think of sacking their manager at that point. And obviously they've been on poor runs before that as well. But I think the timing of it's just really weird as well. Like they've not got the game tomorrow. Obviously, we're recording on the Friday. They've not got a game tomorrow because of the FA Trophy. They've had all week to sort of prepare for this Altrincham game that's coming up the next midweek, and they've done it halfway through the process. It suggests that they're just sort of gone, oh, we'll listen to the music for now and we'll sack him. And there's no context to it. It's just out of the blue entirely. There must have been something that's going on behind the scenes at the club this week that they've realised, we need to make this decision, whether it's the Tyrese Sinclair thing. I mean, on that point, on their recruitment, how many players have they brought in from clubs in the National League or in League Two who you would say they're competing against for a signing? The players they brought in are loanees from a Premier League club who've never had any first team experience, or players like Harley Dean who've come in who haven't played for a year, who are just going, well, I'm just picking up the phone for the first time, getting a call. It's just really weird in terms of how the club is being managed, and it's really worrying that they aren't. I don't feel like they're competing for the players that they should be in that essence, and it makes you think, as Mark said, that there's something wrong with their recruitment. I mean, I saw stuff on social media a few weeks ago saying that their recruitment manager was watching the Morecambe games every week. But that's a red flag in itself, because if you are the recruitment manager, you should be going and watching other games of football rather than your own team.
watching the same thing every week.
Yeah. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that was a rumor I had heard. And also, I did listen to, I think it was the Shrimps Trust podcast a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about the accountability that Singh Johal doesn't have, because there isn't a director of football, or there isn't someone in place who can look at him and go, no, you need to do this, or you need to bring this person in, or you need to change your tactics slightly this way. Really, as you said, it's a basket case of a club. I think it gives them a huge chance of staying up. It's just such a huge job that the new manager's going to have on their hands. And as you say, do you trust the board to get it right? I think there was times in the season where I thought, especially earlier on in the season, that maybe there was something attacking wise. They did look like they were somewhat competent at times, and they were scoring goals. And it was whether they could fix that defence. And it's just been an absolute horror show since then. Apart from picking up a double against Brackley when they beat them twice in a month, there's been nothing over the past 6 to 8 weeks that suggests that there's any hope for that club of getting out of it. But potentially now the times have changed.
Yeah, I mean, you say about it. Go on, Mark.
Right, you say about the players they brought in. The only player, I'm not counting Paul Lewis, Gwyn Edwards, Ben Tollett. They were already there, and they know the Morecambe setup inside and out. The one person that they have signed of note who came in and has done really well in a struggling team has been Jack Nolan. The only decent signing out of 350,000 that they've made. When you do sign players in such high numbers, to have one only stands out, just tells you that they've just dipped their hand in the bag and thought, oh, this will do. They struck lucky with Jack Nolan. I mean, Jack Nolan should be, playing in League Two. He's that good a player. I rate him very highly. But the rest, as you say, they're bringing in. I mean, look at. I think it was the kid Sutton who had his loan extended. And then 24 hours was back wearing, it's simple things like that, I mean, as a player, you think, oh, Morecambe are in for me. Oh, they did what? Oh, I don't want to go there. It doesn't have that appeal. I mean, one player out of 40, 45 signings, it's got to be one player that stands out. It's just shown you how poor the recruitment was. And there's Jamal Blackman. Well, we can put him in because he's a fantastic goalkeeper, and he should be up at a high level as well. But the rest, oh dearie me! I mean, I wouldn't trust half of them in a 3-legged race.
Yeah, I mean, my issues. Go on,
I
Louis.
think there's a degree to which you can excuse it at the beginning of the season, given the state that the club was in and the market they had at the time. I think there was a period of excuses for maybe 2 months or so. But since then, there just hasn't been any sort of improvement in the recruitment on the pitch of the management, and it's spiraled
It's
and
just been
spiraled.
statements, we're going to be the best footballing side in England by the end of October. Well, it's the end of January and you're out of a job, pal.
My main issues that I have with Morecambe in general is that for the fans, they went through enough in the summer. We had Dave on here, we had Darren on here, and we were talking about the potentially not having a club anymore. Now they've got the club that they love and it's stayed afloat and everything, and this is what they're having to put up with. It's not fair on the fans, and the fans have been calling for his head for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it's only took till now. But I watched the fan forum recently. I know I've spoke to you guys about it, but I actually sat and watched it, and the majority of that was a shambles. To be honest, there was a lot of very fair questions in there from the fans, and a lot of
And
the
great
answers.
question.
Yeah, and a lot of answers were just either I'm always at the ground, you can come and see me. My number's up on the wall everywhere around the ground, you can phone me. I was like, oh yeah, because we all answer our phones to everybody who phones us. We don't ignore the phone at all, do we? I'm sure we all answer every single number that phones our phones. It seemed like a whole load of excuses, and the recruitment side of things, what you guys have touched on. They've done a lot of is signed a load of young kids on loan that maybe has played for Ash at Leicester or somewhere else, and it's like, so whoever comes in now has to try and make the best of that situation. Any player that even remotely looked better as well, like Maldini, he's gone to a League Two club now. It's like any parent club. So whether it was QPR, was it? I think with Sutton, was it
Emerson,
Yeah,
QPR?
that must
yeah,
be,
yeah.
Yeah, QPR. If you're QPR and you're sending your youth players out to develop and improve their game, and you're watching them play at a club that looks so shambolic, no wonder they took him back. I would take him back and send him somewhere else instead. And it's just like I say, it's a whole situation, and now it's about, do you trust the owners to make the right decisions? Do you trust them to bring the right manager in? Because for me, we'll move on to that in a moment, but it needs to be someone experienced. It needs to be somebody who has experience in relegation battles, knows how to drag out a 1-0 win, isn't purely focused on playing out from the back and trying to play like a Poundland version of Barcelona or something like that. It needs to be. That'll take me nicely to one of our people that we're going to mention, a Poundland Barcelona. That'll take us nicely. But yeah, so for me, there's a lot of worrying signs there. But that fan forum did worry me because the owner didn't even turn up, for starters, and he said he was going to be there. I think it was the CEO or whatever, the guy beneath him was answering the questions,
Didn't have a
and
clue either.
and I think we talked about it before we went live, didn't we, Mark? He just kept going, "That's a really good question," but then didn't proceed to
That's a
answer the
great
question.
Yeah, but again, with that fans forum, when you've got some people who are worried about the temperature of the pies more than the temperature of the club, and the Jaffa Cakes thing, you're not here to entertain. You're not Freddie Starr on stage here, are you? There's Morecambe fans in there who want their questions answered, and if you're not going to take it seriously, neither will they. I mean, the social media, boycotting the home games until Ashvir was gone. Well, they won't be boycotting many now because he has. But if I was the managing director of anywhere like that, and I'm looking at that, I'm thinking, hang on, guys, have you actually seen this? Let's not bother about what shape or what a Jaffa Cake is. Nobody really cares about that. Your supporters are your lifeblood of your club. I found this out with Macclesfield Town, and we subsequently died as a result. The Morecambe fans, this new dawn turned into false hope because they've seen how badly a club could be run. I don't know how bad it was run under Jason Whittingham. I mean, it must have been bad for them to go down. But to have somebody come in and, it's the old adage of how many people does it take to change a light bulb? I don't know. We'll sign 45 of them and find out, shall we? But, when you see fans going on whatever various media or talking to people saying, I really wish that club had died. No. That's your supporters saying that. That came out. I saw that about 2, maybe 3 months ago, and something should have been done then, because it's like, hang on a minute, we've got people in here dragging this club down. We're seeing this sort of comment. We cannot afford to see this sort of comment ever again. We are letting every single supporter who got behind the club in the summer, they're letting them down, and they've just been let down. They deserve so much better.
They do.
I think,
They really do.
The crazy thing is when you consider, like, last year when they were in League Two, they had Chelsea away in the FA Cup. They had Spurs away a couple of years ago. They were in League One about, was it 3 or 4 years ago, playing against the likes of Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich. And you think this is a club, and their attendance has boomed at that point as well. And you think this is a club that should be better than what they are. They obviously were in the conference. Was it 15 or 16 years ago? I can't remember. Probably longer than that, much longer than that now, to be fair. But this is a club that should be doing better. This should be more of an attractive prospect for someone. We're obviously talking about it as a basket case. It's really shocking. It's really sad to see. I just don't really know where the club goes. I think they've given themselves a chance, but with all the off-field stuff that's going on, I don't know. It's tough to call.
Yeah, I mean, that takes us nicely, Louis, on to our next little segment we're going to talk about, which is potential replacements. So I think for me, this is us trusting the fact that the Punjabi Warriors are going to do the right things and think about the footballing side of things. So again, we may be being naive here because they already haven't done that and put the football side of things first. So certain aspects of it, for me, I know I mentioned it earlier, is they need experience. They went for the young coach, the guy who wants to have a philosophy, and all the jargon that you hear from all the young coaches these days. They want to have a way of playing and things, and it hasn't worked. It's been a disaster, if we're being truthful, absolute disaster. So it's like, for me now, you try and go for something different, something opposite. But do we trust them to do that? I don't particularly trust them. Louis, I'll come to you first, mate. Who are some of the names that you think could potentially go in there?
Yeah, I mean, I just provide a bit of context first in terms of the job that they've got on their hands. So obviously, usually you're talking 50 points to survive in the National League. They need to get 29 points from the next 18 games to get to that mark, and that's 1.6 points per game. So that's basically playoff level form
It's a tough
in the time period this manager's going to come in. I do think there's good players there. Obviously, you've mentioned Jack Nolan, Gwion Edwards, Ben Toller. I think Miguel Aziz has got a good player in him. Maybe a bit of an attitude problem. I don't know about that, but a lot of Morecambe fans have sort of said if he turns up on the pitch, he's a very good player. So I think there's work there that can be done. If you talk experience, I think the first name pops into my head is Graham Coughlin. Given the job he did at Boston last year, they were completely against it at the time he came in, and he got them turned around, and he fairly comfortably kept them up. Whether or not he touches this club with a barge pole, I don't know. I don't think he will. I think given the exclusive chat we had with him in terms of what he expects from standards and his fallout from Boston, given the statement he released when he left Boston as well, I'm not convinced he'd take this job. I've seen people ask for Derek Adams back. There's not a chance in high hell that he goes back, especially given the form that Plymouth are on well, given that he's director of football there. So I can't see that happening. There are some other good names as well. Pete Wild obviously has just left Fleetwood, very good manager, but whether he steps down to that level, I don't think he does. And Andy Wing as well. We've obviously tinked him with the Carlisle job. Maybe the National League is his level, maybe Morecambe. If we take away the naivety of the board and the recruitment and everything, as I said, it's an attractive club in that sense. But then you look behind the scenes and you just wonder whether a manager is going to actually want to take it. But I heard there's a very good set piece coach at QPR currently that they might look at as well. So they could give that one a go.
Nice. Keith Andrews has ruined it for everybody, hasn't he? Everyone's going to be looking for the set piece coaches. Everyone's going to be looking for them. Mark, I know Louis rhymed off most of ours there. So anyone else, or do you just want to add to who Louis? I think we've all kind of had the same shortlist, to be fair. I think we've all had the same shortlist.
Sort of. I mean, there's one name who I'm going to be saving exclusively for Dan, as he thinks he's magnifico, but you've got to see who is available. Phil Parkinson. He was resigned, whatever, from Altrincham. He will be looking for work. Was tentatively linked with the Hartlepool job before Nicky Featherstone got it. He will have Neil Solvell, an ex-Morecambe player as well. So that's if the board knows anything about the history of Morecambe, they'll want a manager who can get them to the highs that Jimmy Harvey, Sammy McElroy, Sorvel was an intricate part of the early successes in the National League. So Phil Parkinson, why not? I mean, it's a big enough club, but do they have, will they have the tolerance level to put up with the dog and pony show of a board there? You just don't know. If they want to get ambitious, they could have a look at Craig Mann at AFC Fylde. He's doing such a good job there at the moment. Yeah, admittedly, he's had money to spend at Fylde, but he could go into a club and have a look at the players and say, right, I can get the best out of these people. I can get another one.
He didn't have a big budget at Curzon Ashton, did he? So
no, he didn't. And he did really well there. He worked absolute wonders, and Adam Lakeland was also at Kings Lynn as well, and he was the one who got Adam Lakeland. It was the next one I'm going on about Craig Mann. Craig Mann, yeah. Which leads me on to Adam Lakeland, a former Curzon Ashton manager. Could he be persuaded to go from Halifax? You just don't know, because he's brought in players like Will Harris, Josh Hamami. Everybody, like, after they lost a lot of players in the summer, I mean, practically their whole defence went. But he's proved that he can keep up a consistent level, bubbling near the playoffs, but it's the safety and security at Halifax. This is the thing. If Morecambe are going to go for a manager, they'll probably look to see who is out of work rather than trying to persuade somebody who's in a job like Adam Lakeland or Craig Mann, because they'll go, well, I'm actually all right here if you don't mind. But Phil Parkinson, to me, is that standout one, because he does have the bonus of bringing Neil Sorvel with him, and Sorvel does know the club. But whoever they get, they've got to get it right. They cannot go and look at some amateur who's not done anything and think he's the man for the job, because he isn't. The one you appointed wasn't.
I agree. I think the one with Craig Mann at Fylde is the issue. For me, would be they're going to probably pass each other. So Fylde's probably going to come up and Morecambe going to go down. Even if in stature of club and things like that, he might want to see his project out with Fylde and things like that. So I agree with you, Mark. I think that they're going to look more at people that are maybe out of work than trying to entice them, because what's exciting to entice people? There's nothing really right now that I can see that managers at other clubs that are particularly doing well, like Fylde or Halifax or wherever, why would you want to go? I don't know. So, but yeah, so the one that I said was, mine's a bit tongue-in-cheek, I will say that, but it's just because I also had Graham Coughlin down, a bit of experience, obviously experience with Boston. Yeah, but again, I don't think he'll touch it with a barge pole after we spoke to him and his conversation around standards, what he accepts, what he doesn't accept. He'd end up being in that boardroom after day one with that board and telling them what he thinks, I assume. So definitely wouldn't happen. For me, I said Mike Williamson. Now he's currently at South Shields in like a coaching role, and again, he's available really. I think he's doing it voluntarily as well. It's not like a paid job. So I think it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if the Punjabi Warriors decided, I'll tell you what, we'll go for another young hipster coach that want to coach young people and want to try and play like a Poundland Barcelona, like I said, which took me nicely onto that. And that's what he tried with Carlisle last season, and that's what took us down. Mark Hughes might have come in and tried to save a sinking ship, but we were already gone by the time Mark Hughes had come in last season. So Mike Williamson, for me, I think could be that appointment in terms of the young coach, ambitious, maybe gives a good interview, talks a good game, and they might buy it. That would be the only other person that I could add to the list that you guys have put forward. But like I say, I think the Derek Adams one, even if say Derek Adams wasn't at Plymouth and doing what he was doing there, the way they treated him in the summer and the way they discarded him and got rid of it, I don't think he'd go back anyways. I
I
do
was going
think
to
the
say
real
about that. He was treated very, very poorly, and he made no bones about it when explaining that he'd been treated very poorly. It's a wonderful thing, nostalgia, but when somebody's done you dirty, then no. I think Derek Adams is finished with Morecambe.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I
Um,
say, I struggle to find a specific. So with a lot of teams, you can be like, right, that guy looks like a good fit. I'm struggling with Morecambe because the ones that I think would fit, like the Graham Coughlin's, I'm not entirely sure the club matches his standards. So then
No,
it doesn't work. So I'm really struggling for the standout, person to go for. Have you
I
guys
think,
got one in particular that you think, Louis?
no, I mean, I think on the Williamson point, they'll use his tenure at Gateshead probably is the experience that they'll use in the interviews and stuff. And I don't think he did a terrible job at Gateshead, considering the situation that the club was in at the time. Again, I think that is probably the most likely one. Considering his style of football, considering the way he talks, considering his experience, as they would put it probably at Gateshead, because he did do quite well at Gateshead, I think, albeit completely messed up at Milton Keynes and Carlisle. Um, yeah, whoever they get in, they're going to have to get them in quickly. I think is it Lee Tomlin's been put in interim charge, isn't he, with a couple of other backroom staff.
mm,
But I mean, I looked at their fixtures and they've got Altrincham away, Truro at home, Tamworth at home, Southend away, Eastleigh at home, and Gateshead away. That they must have looked at those fixtures and thought those, apart from Southend away, there's a bunch of games there where we can pick up some points and put pressure on the teams above us, and that's probably why they've made the decision. That's probably their only logic to it. If you've made that decision on the basis of those fixtures, you have to get someone in quickly. You can't give those games to an interim, because we did it with when we sacked Morrison. We gave 4 crucial games to our interim and it just didn't really work. I think they need to get someone in quickly, but who it is, yeah.
I always like to think as well. Again, this isn't just me digging out more. I like to think if you part ways with a manager, you have a contingency plan in place. If you're any self-respecting football club, I think there's echoes. It's not like this has come out the blue as such. It might have done because we thought they weren't going to make the decision, but the results have been poor for a while. You'd like to think they had a succession plan of people that might potentially come in to replace him, so they
I
might have a
seriously doubt it.
I agree as well, Mark. But you'd like to think that, so they might have
Mm,
a short list of 4 or 5 that they might want to speak to over the next week. It means they might have to write off the Altrincham game with an interim coach, but then after that, have someone in place for them, because some of them home games that you mentioned there, Louis, definitely sound winnable. I think did you say Truro at home, Tamworth at home? Was it Eastleigh?
Eastleigh at
Eastleigh,
home,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so you think all 3 of them teams aren't in particularly great form. So if Morecambe can get a new manager and get that, the stereotypical new manager bounce, you just never know, do you? But yeah, I think for me, Mike Williamson makes a lot of sense, and you have my condolences, Morecambe, if that is the case.
Well, I'll go. I'll stick with Phil Parkinson and Neil Sorvell going there. Williamson, I think we've said it a couple of times this season as well. And don't forget, he'll have that shiny stint at Rangers, which will attract stuff. He's been at one of the biggest clubs in Europe. Yeah, and look who he was with, though. Dear old Russell. Yeah, just because you got a Ferrari looking car doesn't make it one. But no, I think Phil Parkinson is too good a manager to stay out of work for this long. I mean, I'm very surprised that he hasn't been picked up by anybody. But if I was Phil Parkinson, I would be going to that Morecambe board and saying, right, this is what's going to happen. Somebody's got to go there and tell them, no more monkey business. I don't want to hear cliche after cliche. I don't want to hear that we're going to be the best, this, that, and the other in the year 2034. They've got to go in there and say, right, stop messing about. Look at the precarious position we're in. We don't get results, then we're going down. And that is what the Morecambe board has got. They've got to have a manager with the balls to tell them that. Because if they don't, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 points drop, sir. And they can't, they're staring into the abyss, and they will not come back from it.
No, I agree.
If they go down, you can kiss them goodbye for the next 5 to 6 years.
I agree, mate. I agree. That's it for Morecambe. We're going to quickly touch on Brackley, who their manager has just departed as well. Gavin Cowan's gone to Shrewsbury. That was announced, I think, yesterday. We were recording on Friday. It was announced yesterday, out of the blue a little bit. I don't think anyone's seen that coming. Mark, what was your thoughts? What was your thoughts on that?
Wow, it's who saw this coming, but in the more surprised way. Gavin Cowan, I mean, he was linked with the Eastleigh job before Scott Bartlett got it, if I remember correctly. But he did a great job at AFC Telford. He's an ex-Shrewsbury man as well. He's spent a lot of his career in that part of the country. He had a great little purple patch with Brackley when I think they got up to 10th at one point. But let's not let any league positions distract the fact that he is a damn good manager, has got the experience behind him, somebody who Morecambe probably could have done with, but they probably wouldn't. Experience? No. But yeah, I mean, this is a great opportunity for him. They've got the former Shrewsbury midfielder Dave Edwards on the coaching side as well. That always helps, but he's a familiar face with Shrewsbury fans. And we will just see. I mean, League Two, like, oh, really? That's a bit of a surprise. But did he have a clause in his contract saying if an EFL club came in for him, he could go? We don't know the ins and outs, but no, he did. He did fairly well with Brackley. I mean, first time in this league. Got the National League North last season as well. So yeah, best of luck to him, and he'll be thinking, well, I don't want to go back to the National League so soon.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's more than earned it. I think he's potentially took Brackley as far as he can take them in terms of what their ceiling is. I don't think that where they are now is probably roughly where they're going to be. I don't see them being any higher than that. It brings into the question, we'll come to that after I've spoke to Louis, but who comes in there? Because I think one of the names we mentioned, we've all said could potentially go to Brackley.
Yeah,
Louis,
I've only got one name for this job.
Louis, what was your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, couldn't have timed it at the worst time with us playing them tomorrow, could they? I think we all had Brackley in our bottom four, I think, in the pre-season predictions, which just shows how good a job he's done. The context is this is a club that punched above their weight probably in the National League North, challenging at the top of it. They've been there for years. It's been years that they were in those playoffs and never got out of that division. And full credit to him for getting them into this division. And I don't think particularly they've flirted with relegation, but I don't think they've been in the position where we've gone, yeah, they're dead and buried, or yeah, they're going to have a real tough time getting out of it, which I think just says it all about the work that he's done and the job that he's done there. So full credit to him. I do just wonder whether Shrewsbury is just as basket case of a club as some of the other sides in League Two, and whether we'll be speaking about him next year again on this pod.
Yeah, I did say that when he went there. I was like, he could potentially be coming straight back in a couple of months' time. We'll wait and see. But like I said, for me with Brackley, the one thing I like about them is even though they have struggled, but they don't struggle they're solid at the back. Very rare they concede lots of goals, and that'll stand Shrewsbury in good stead when he goes there as well. If they've got a goal scorer that can do what Brackley couldn't and score goals, then I think it's the perfect recipe for a successful spell there. But I do worry that we are potentially just going to be talking about him again next season with Shrewsbury on the podcast. So we'll finish up replacements. I think we've all got one name. So Mark, I'll come to you first. Who do you think could go to Brackley?
Our dear friend Graham Coughlin. This job will be right up his street. There are some great players there at Brackley. I mean, they brought back Danny Newton from Harborough. They got Michael Nottingham, vast experience in that defence, and that's probably why the defence does so well. And hard team to beat at home as well. And Graham will take on what he had at Boston last season. Few disturbances in the force at Boston this season. That will be behind him. He can concentrate on the job. And Kean Harrott, of course, he's on loan from Oldham. He will get the goals. Yeah, I think this is just the perfect job for our dear friend Graham.
I agree, mate. I agree. I've got nothing much to add. We spoke about it before we went on air about it. I think he's perfect for it as well. Louis, have you got a name for us?
Yeah, I think Graham Coughlin is probably a very good chap given the experience at the league. A curveball one that I throw in there is Mitch Austin from Harper Town. Obviously doing really well with them at the top of the Southern Premier League Division, South Division, or whatever it's called. I think they obviously did really well in the FA Cup last year, got to the second round. I think it wasn't played. Reading did well this year in the FA Cup, lost out to Altrincham in the replay. So yeah, that's the curveball one. And that sort of neck of the woods of the country as well, going from part-time to another part-time job. But yeah, Graham Coughlin and Mitch Austin could be two that I think could be on the radar for Brackley.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Well, that's it from us. That was our special. We've jumped on in honour of our friend Ashvir Singh and Morecambe and tried to cover everything. We'll see if our predictions come to fruition. Like I say, you have my condolences if Mike Williamson ends up there. We'll see what happens. But thanks to Mark and Louis for joining me as always. And don't forget to like and subscribe while you're here if you like what you see. It helps us expand the podcast and make it better than it is now. Thanks, everyone. Take care.